Massive NIA raids are being reported from across the country. These raids are underway in 8 states and union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and these are pan-India search operations in connection with a serious Jaish-e-Mohammed terror plot in our country. And these raids are on at 19 different locations based on very specific intelligence inputs and an interrogation report. There are several suspects who've now been taken into custody, and these arrests have happened in Maharashtra. They've taken place in Uttar Pradesh. There are reports of several incriminating documents, including electronic devices, mobile phones, pen drives, CDs, DVDs, hard disks, and some computers that have been confiscated. Some documents have been taken out from some of these devices, is what we've been told. Search operations have been carried out from Assam in the east to Maharashtra in the west, from Bengal in the east to Gujarat in the west, from Jammu and Kashmir in the north to Rajasthan. That's the information that we've been able to gather so far. The information that we also have is that the search operations are in connection with a very specific case. It's RC13 of 2024. Now, this is a case that's based on the interrogation of a terror accused, Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. Now, Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi, according to information that we've been able to gather, is a Jaish-e-Mohammed. He's a suspected Jaish-e-Mohammed terror operative, a sleeper cell operating in India, and several co-conspirators have now been taken into custody. What was the wider plot? We'll get you all details on this big story. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We have experts and we have our reporters joining us from Jammu and Kashmir, from Maharashtra, and of course from the national capital. We'll get you much more over the course of the next half hour. But first, as always, the headlines. Big Samvidhan debate in Parliament tomorrow. Sources say Rajnath Singh to initiate the debate in Lok Sabha. Prime Minister Narendra Modi likely to reply on the 14th of December. BJP and Congress issue a whip to all party MPs. Union Cabinet clears the One Nation, One Poll bill. Sources say the bill may be introduced in Parliament in this winter session itself. The opposition bloc is up in arms. Big order by the Supreme Court on the Places of Worship Act. No new Mandir Masjid cases till the current cases are heard. The Chief Justice of India bars effective or interim order, including any stay order by any court. The battle for Delhi heats up. Former Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit's son, Sandeep Dikshit, will contest against Arvind Kejriwal from the New Delhi seat. And Gukeshji strips history. The Grandmaster is the youngest chess world champion after beating China's Ding Liren in the summit clash. The National Investigation Agency is carrying out raids and searches across 8 states and union territory of Jammu and Kashmir in connection with a Jaish-e-Mohammed terror plot to radicalize youth in India. Now, these search operations, these raids follow the interrogation of one Sheikh Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi in connection with an alleged plot to destabilize India, to use Indians to carry out terror attack in India. That's what Pakistan and a Pakistan-based terrorist organization, Jaish-e-Mohammed, it's a UN-designated banned terrorist organization. So Jaish-e-Mohammed knows if it uses Pakistani terrorists like it did during 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, the Financial Action Task Force will once again get after Pakistan. That is why the effort is to radicalize Indian Muslims. And how are they doing this? They're doing this through madrasas and Maulvis and masjids. The raids are being conducted across 19 different locations in Jammu and Kashmir, in Assam, in Maharashtra, in Uttar Pradesh, in Gujarat. In fact, I'll take you to Jhansi to get you the latest from Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh, where the NIA carried out a pre-dawn search operation, in a densely populated mohalla. And this raid included the Maulvi of a madrasa, the home of Maulvi Khalid Nadwi. Now, this is apparently in connection, and we'll get you more details, with a foreign funding case. I'll get you details of this. But as the NIA carried out search operations and they wanted to question the Maulvi, look at the images that we are putting out on your television screen. A large mob gathered early morning. The raid started pre-dawn, 3:30 in the morning. A mob gathered, led by women. Look at the large number of women in this mob. They surrounded the NIA team. The NIA team was heavily outnumbered. The Jhansi police, the Uttar Pradesh police was present, but not in numbers. So reinforcements had to be called in. Apparently, and this is what local information is, they even snatched the Maulvi away from the custody of the NIA before reinforcements came in. Watch those images of reinforcements coming in. Once reinforcements came in, the superintendent of police gave out facts in public domain. That's when the crowd pulled back. The Maulvi, before being taken away to the police lines for questioning, insisted and he claimed that nothing incriminating was found on him by the NIA team after searches were carried out. I'll get you much more on this big story and the wider ramifications over the course of the next half hour. But listen in to Maulvi Mufti Khalid Nadwi. I'll get you more on the story. Listen in.
NIA वाले आए दिल्ली से और इन्होंने रात में कुंडी बजाई, हमने नहीं खोली, डर की वजह से, पता नहीं कोने में से खोल देते, अकेले थे तो डर लगा। कौन है, पूरे जितने कमरे हैं, रूम है, किचन है, सारे की क्या कहते हैं चेकिंग की गई और पूरे कवर्ड देखे, मचान देखा और किचन में देखा, किचन के पीछे जो बनी थी गिरली वो देखी गई, सारी पूरे घर में एक एक कोना छाना गया। उसके बाद फिर कहने लगे कि मौलाना इलियास गुम्मन साहब का मसला आया। मौलाना इलियास गुम्मन साहब कौन है, ये कहाँ से हुआ, तो इस सिलसिले में जांच चल रही है और जो कुछ है उन्होंने बना के दे दिया है, हमारे पास मौजूद है।
झांसी जनपद के थाना क्षेत्र कोतवाली में NIA व ATS की टीम के द्वारा एक संदिग्ध व्यक्ति से पूछताछ की कार्रवाई की जा रही थी। इसी दौरान कुछ लोगों ने इकट्ठा होकर इस कार्रवाई का विरोध किया। अतिरिक्त फोर्स मौके पर बुला करके जो विरोध कर रहे थे उनको समझा दिया गया। पूछताछ की कार्रवाई टीम के द्वारा जारी है। मौके पर शांति व्यवस्था कायम है।
ISIS ने, LET ने, जैश-ए-मोहम्मद ने, हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन ने, तालिबान ने बाय इटसेल्फ और इन कॉम्बिनेशन एक भी सक्सेसफुल नहीं हुआ। आज हमारा इंफॉर्मेशन गैदरिंग सिस्टम बहुत मजबूत है, इंटेलिजेंस सिस्टम बहुत मजबूत है, NIA और स्टेट्स सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस बड़े अलर्ट पर हैं। उनकी कोशिश है कि हिंदुस्तान को डिस्टेबलाइज करना है, तो अगर यहाँ से आतंकवादी नहीं उनके साथ जुड़ रहे हैं, रेडिकलाइज नहीं हो रहे, तो दूसरी स्टेट में कोशिश करें। खास करके वो स्टेट्स जो वल्नरेबल हैं, बहुत वल्नरेबल, सबसे ज़्यादा वल्नरेबल इस समय महाराष्ट्र है, केरला है, वेस्ट बंगाल है और कुछ नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स हैं। लेकिन वहाँ भी उस माफी की सफलता उनको नहीं मिल रही और ना मिलेगी।
So the Maulvi was taken to police lines for questioning. Additional police forces, as you can see in those images, they were called in. We are now being told that Alok Singh, the Additional Director General of the Kanpur zone, he's been sent to Jhansi to take stock of the situation. He spoke to people on ground. He's taken stock, he's assessed the situation, and he's just reacted. Listen in.
वहाँ माहौल बिल्कुल ठीक है और जिन लोगों ने भी कानून तोड़ने की कोशिश की है उनके विरुद्ध कानूनन सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
कुछ इन्वेस्टिगेशन टीम से आप कुछ बात हुई हो या कुछ?
इन्वेस्टिगेशन टीम तो वो अलग है ना, वो अपना काम कर रहे हैं, वो लोग अपना काम कर रहे हैं।
सर, जिस तरह से उसको खींचा कर हिरासत में लिए गए अपने साथ में, सर
सब पे कानूनी कार्रवाई होगी।
सब पे कानूनी कार्रवाई होगी। Anyone who disrupts police operations or obstructs the path of justice, there will be action taken. And from what sources are telling India Today, the entire sequence of events from early morning till the time that disruption continued, people have been photographed. They will be called in for questioning. Now, the attempt is to find out whether there was a ringleader, was this spontaneous or was this orchestrated, and whether this is part of a bigger template. But let's try and join the dots about these search operations across 8 states, the Union Territory of J&K, 19 different locations, and they're likely to continue over next several days based on the basis of the interrogation that has already been carried out of a suspected terror sleeper cell. So from a Maulvi in Jhansi in Uttar Pradesh to some youngsters apparently in Maharashtra. We have names, but we will not give them out until the time they're officially given out by the police. Several suspects have now been taken into custody. Some more details are emerging from search operations that have been carried out in places like Gwalpara. So let's start from Assam. Gwalpara, East, Aurangabad, Amravati and Mumbai, Maharashtra in the west. Jhansi, Bareilly and Deoband and Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh to Sitamarhi in Bihar. Hooghly in Bengal to Baramulla, Riyasi, Badgam and Anantnag in Jammu and Kashmir and Mehsana in Gujarat. These are just some of the inputs that we've been able to gather so far. Let me now cut across to India Today's finest team of reporters who've been reporting from ground zero from early this morning. I have Mir Farid, who joins us from Jammu and Kashmir. Devesh Singh joins us from Maharashtra. Jitendra Bahadur Singh has been piecing together all the inputs on this big story. He joins us from the Ministry of Home Affairs in the National Capital. Also with us on this special broadcast is Dr. Vikram Singh, former Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Police, and Abhijit Iyer Mitra is a counter-terror analyst and expert who joins us on this special broadcast. We'll go to our guest, but before that, I quickly want to cut across to India Today's finest team of reporters on ground. Jitendra, अब तक की पड़ताल में क्या तथ्य निकलकर सामने आए हैं? What are facts that emerge from investigations so far? Who are those who've been taken into custody, and what more do we know of this Sheikh Sultan Salahuddin Ayubi? On the basis of interrogation of this person, the search operations were carried out. सबसे ताजा जानकारी आपके पास क्या है, जितेंद्र?
जम्मू कश्मीर में लगातार जैश-ए-मोहम्मद की जमीन खिसक रही है। इसी बात को ध्यान में रखते हुए पाकिस्तान में बैठे जैश-ए-मोहम्मद के आका अब भारत के अन्य राज्यों में भी रिक्रूटमेंट का प्लान तैयार किया है। यही वजह है कि एनआईए और आईबी के पास एक रिपोर्ट पहुंची, जिसके आधार पर आज उन्होंने 19 जगहों पर बड़ी छापेमारी की। पैन इंडिया छापेमारी एनआईए की तरफ से किया गया, जिसमें तमाम चौंकाने वाले दस्तावेज इनके घरों से बरामद हुए। साथ ही मोबाइल फोन और सीडी भी एनआईए ने जब्त किया है। इसकी फॉरेंसिक जांच आने वाले समय में एनआईए की तरफ से किया जाएगा, जिससे कई खुलासे होंगे। लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात है कि शेख सुल्तान अयूबी, जो कि इस पूरे मामले का मास्टरमाइंड है, उसको ये कहा जा रहा है कि विदेशों से फंडिंग हो रही थी। इससे पहले अक्टूबर के महीने में 26 जगहों पर एनआईए की तरफ से छापेमारी किया गया था। उसकी पूछताछ में ये पता चला कि देश के अन्य राज्यों में भी अलग अलग स्थानों पर रिक्रूटमेंट का प्लान जैश-ए-मोहम्मद की तरफ से किया जा रहा है। इसमें कई लोग जमात के शामिल हैं, जो कि रिक्रूटमेंट करने में जुटे हुए हैं। इन तमाम चीजों को ध्यान में रखते हुए एनआईए ने एक बड़ा खुलासा भी किया है। एनआईए की तरफ से कहा जा रहा है कि ऑनलाइन फंडिंग भी इस पूरे मामले में आ रही थी, और ये ऑनलाइन फंडिंग कुछ ऐसे मुफ्तीज के पास पहुंच रही थी जो कि अरबी और उर्दू में शिक्षा दे रहे हैं। एनआईए ने कुछ लोगों को हिरासत में लिया है। हालांकि उनकी तरफ से कहा गया है कि अभी आधिकारिक तौर पर किसी को गिरफ्तार नहीं किया गया है। लगातार इन तमाम लोगों से पूछताछ की जा रही है, और आने वाले समय में ये कहा जा रहा है कि कुछ लोगों को गिरफ्तार भी किया जा सकता है। सबसे बड़ी बात है कि एनआईए के पास जिस तरीके के इनपुट्स आ रहे थे कि जैश-ए-मोहम्मद को फिर से खड़ा करने की कोशिश की जा रही है देश में, उसको लेकर के एनआईए ने छापेमारी की है, और ये कहा जा रहा है कि इस छापेमारी से कई चौंकाने वाले राज खुल सकते हैं।
Take an attempt to revive Jaish-e-Mohammed. It's a Pakistan-based radical Islamist terrorist organization. Devesh, there are reports of searches at some very sensitive locations in Mumbai, in Amravati, also in Sambhajinagar. What details do we have of the searches, and apparently some detentions of some youngsters?
Well, Gaurav, National Investigation Agency conducted raids across the nation in various states, and in Maharashtra, NIA officials conducted raids at Bhiwandi, Amravati, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar and few other locations. In Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, NIA officials are questioning a cleric associated with a local masjid for his links with a terrorist whose name had come to light in investigation by the NIA.
Yes.
In Amravati, Syed Mujahid Sheikh, a 26-year-old man, has been picked up by National Investigation Agency on suspicion that he has links with a foreign terrorist organization, a terrorist organization based outside India. In Bhiwandi, Kamran Ansari, a 45-year-old man, residing in Bhiwandi with his family, who's a native of Malegaon, has been picked up. There are some incriminating documents that have been found at Kamran Ansari's residence. His laptop has been seized. The laptop is also being analyzed by NIA officials. Kamran Ansari is presently being questioned. It is suspected that Kamran Ansari was also linked to the same band organization which was operating outside India in a neighboring hostile country. This organization wanted to carry out terrorist attacks across India, and that is why they were in touch with some Indian nationals. Kamran Ansari is being questioned regarding his links to this terrorist organization.
Sinister. Now, this hostile terrorist organization, Jaish-e-Mohammed, hostile country, Pakistan, they've bled India and Mumbai many times in the past. 1993, 257 killed, 2611, 166 killed. 2005, again, you had the train blast, 200 people were killed. Mumbai, India's financial capital, has repeatedly been targeted. But is this because they're losing ground in Jammu and Kashmir? Farid, I want to cut across to Srinagar. Mir Farid joins us. Mir, what more can you tell us about the raids and the activities in Jammu and Kashmir of these people who are now on the crosshair of the intelligence agencies and the investigating agencies?
Well, yes, Gaurav. In fact, this is the Jaish-e-Mohammed conspiracy case that the NIA has been investigating through 2024. If you remember, a couple of months back in October, there were similar raids that were conducted by the NIA teams at 26 locations across 5 states. Now, this case pertains to radicalization of youth, radicalization of young impressionable minds who are radicalized and fed with literature so that they really pick up the gun or indulge in terror activity. There are suspects one of whom was arrested, detained in October. And it seems that during investigation and during questioning, NIA got crucial leads, and post that these raids were inevitable. Now, we've been told that today, again, across 5 states, there were raids on at least 19 locations. And if you talk of Kashmir, 4 districts where multiple locations were raided. Now, NIA sources say that today also they have recovered evidence. They have recovered pamphlets, radicalization material, and also importantly some hard disks, which obviously will further aid this investigation. Now, this is critical for the NIA because this is aimed at basically nipping it in the bud and ensuring that young minds, young teenagers, impressionable minds are not basically driven into militancy by these suspects using radicalization material.
But look at how far and wide our tentacles of terror spread in our country.
Gaurav?
Yes, Mir, thank you for joining me. I want to thank all my colleagues for joining me. Devesh and Jitendra Bahadur Singh, keep tracking that story. Gentlemen, I will come back to you for more. I want to bring in Dr. Vikram Singh and Abhijit Iyer Mitra. Few people understand terrorism and counter-terror operations better than the 2 experts joining us on this broadcast. Dr. Vikram Singh, in Jhansi, when this Maulvi was being taken into custody, apparently a mob led by women tried to obstruct justice. Sir, does this appear to be a template? We saw this earlier. We are seeing this again. How alarmed are you by these developments?
Gaurav ji and Abhijit, good evening. This is on absolutely predicted and expected lines. Structured, well planned, and orchestrated. Structured and orchestrated because you will find women coming into the front in large numbers. In fact, it was the only women obstruction, and most of the women had their face covered. It is not fortuitous, it is not accidental, it is by design so that they are not identified, and the police force are overwhelmed by the large number of women. Therefore, I'm not concerned. This has happened in the past, and this seems to be a regular feature. This is also like a repeat performance of what happened in Sambal, and on very, very expected lines. Yes. I would have been very satisfied if there had been more women police there also, because yes, Jhansi is one of the very, very calm and peaceful area. Probably they did not expect this kind of an offensive, this kind of a violent protest against the Maulana's arrest. But yes, now any arrest of any cleric or a Maulana, please expect this kind of a response from the people whose are this again is something that is online radicalization and online funding. What more could we have expected? This is totally that was expected. We had it in the past. We had it in Jhansi today, and we should expect this kind of an opposition when any such arrest is made. And therefore, we had to have SOPs in position and give a response, not disproportionate use of force, absolutely people-friendly, non-lethal, but with an absolutely clear signal, Gauravji, that this will not be tolerated and there will be consequences if there is obstruction or an attempt to pull out the arrested person or detained person or to have him released forcibly.
Okay. You know, Abhijit, what's extremely alarming is the fact that in the past, now talk about 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Pakistan had to send in 10 Pakistani terrorists and Pakistani fingerprints and footprints were all over the place. Here, they want to radicalize Indian youth to target India, and should something happen, radicalization by Pakistan, money sent in from overseas, weapons, God forbid, coming through the Bangladesh route, relatively easier now, bleed India and no Pakistani footprint. Blame it on Indians or on claim there's some kind of a civil war or something happening.
So, you know, before Sheikh Hasina managed to stabilize the situation in Bangladesh, Gaurav, this actually used to be the modus operandi. And now we're seeing a restarting of that modus operandi because of, you know, most of the partners of Muhammad Yunus in that, whatever government you call it in Bangladesh is, are in fact terrorists. The Jamaat-e-Islami out there is known to have a lot of terror connections. So they've also stopped requiring security clearances and things like that from Pakistani shipments coming into Bangladesh, number one. Number two, you know, this using of women and children as human shields is a very old tactic. We used to see this in Kashmir as well, where kids and women used to be sent at the front of stone pelters so that the pellets would hit them. And then they could climb, oh, this was an innocent boy, oh, this was an innocent girl. You see this being done, of course, in Gaza as well right now, you know, where Hamas will hide everything under schools, hospitals, and things like that. It is a very common modus operandi amongst these people. The third thing, I would actually look at this as a as a good news rather than a bad news, because our surveillance capacities have become so good. And the fact that, you know, monitoring money flows has become so good because of UPI and things like that. We are able to pick up on these things and nip things in the bud before things go wrong. Usually these arrests used to happen after a terror attack. Here we're actively going after people, we're able to detect it and we're able to preempt most of these terror attacks from happening. And all of this has happened primarily because of a very significant increase in electronic money transfer on your phone, as well as the general surveillance networks that have been strengthened over the last 10 to 15 years.
Stay with me, and there are several who are asking why is this so alarming? This name, Maulana of Terror, Masood Azhar. Now, he was in a jail in India, in Jammu and Kashmir. He was so dear to Pakistan's military jihad infrastructure that Pakistan ordered the hijack of IC-814 in December 1999, barely 6 months after India gave Pakistan a bloody nose in the Kargil war. So this Maulana of Terror was released in lieu of 100+ passengers on board IC-814. We'll talk another day about the ecosystem that put so much pressure that sort this out by the end of December 1999. But anyway, in 2000, he founded this terrorist organization called Jaish-e-Mohammed. He's been involved in a series of terror attacks in India. The suicide attack at the Badami Bagh cantonment, it happened in 2000. This was the first suicide bombing, a VBIED, or the vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. The car bomb that exploded outside the Badami Bagh cantonment, the Chinar Corps headquarters, 8 people were killed in that incident. Then the State Assembly building, 31 people were killed in that attack. Now that in October was the template for the Parliament attack that took place in December 2001. And I've covered all these incidents on ground zero. The IC-814 hijack, the Parliament attack, the J&K Assembly attack, the Badami Bagh cantonment attack. Then this man and his entire terrorist organization, those who were released in the IC-814 hijack, were involved in the beheading of Daniel Pearl. That happened in Pakistan. I'll tell you many more such instances, but Dr. Vikram Singh, can the Maulvi who was taken into custody in Jhansi, can he say that I give Dini Talim or religious education in India and overseas, and that is why he says he's getting overseas funds, or those close to him seem to say this. Why do investigators find this money trail suspicious, sir, prima facie?
Gauravji will rightly mention that the money trail is obviously workable and doable to it, but getting money has to be within the ambit of law. You cannot take up, you have to have FCRA approvals, and there are other approvals. There have to be regular intimations to the government, prior permissions and post intimations. If that has not happened, one can always give the excuse that he was only giving innocent Dini Talim. Nobody will say that he was converting the innocent youth into terrorists. The ground reality may be very different, but under the subterfuge of Dini Talim, vitriolic, malicious and malignant messages can be given, and also converting trusting innocent minds and rewiring their mind so that they can be used as human bombs and human cannon fodder for their own insidious designs. But Gauravji, you have taken the name of Sayyid Mohammed Umar Sheikh, who was arrested in Saharanpur. He was also transported with Azhar Masood. And then when in Kandahar, he went underground and beheaded Daniel Pearl. Talking of this present Maulana and his designs, this is something to be very cautious of. I would compliment the NIA and other investigating agencies for arresting and making raids at 19 places, making appropriate arrests, and then their interrogation would yield a gold mine of information, their financial assets, their money laundering, and what was their game plan, the short term and the long term. And that, of course, will call for an exclusive roadmap to pursue the investigation vigorously using the tools of investigation like lie detector tests and polygraph tests, etc.
Because all of these charges, or information that so far we're getting through sources, Abhijit, will have to be proven in a court of law that this was, in a way, an attempt to wage war against India, if true. Now, how difficult would it be for investigators to piece together inputs? And so far, it's just on the basis of the interrogation of one terrorist. Some suspects have been taken into custody.
Right. So this is always the problem with converting circumstantial evidence into something justiciable in court. So we have the transfer of funds. The problem is that illegal transfer of funds is just that, it is illegal. So you've already caught them on the illegality of the transfer of funds, especially from banned organizations, especially this coming from places like Bangladesh, number one. Then the evidentiary standard becomes how you fuse that with speeches and things like that that these Maulanas have given in their own madrasas. Now, I personally feel, I may be wrong, but I personally feel they wouldn't have gone in for this arrest. Once they received the intel, they wouldn't have gone in for the arrest. There would have been tracking. There would have been, bugs planted to see what were the conversations that were being carried out within these religious institutions. And that is where you connect 1 + 1 and make it into a 2 in court. I suspect, I hope the police have done, the NIA have done that. I might be wrong, but that is how you'll prove it in court. Let's remember Masood Azhar, when he was freed because of IC 814, there had been no trial. He had been convicted of anything. And that was Pakistan's great, getaway card, saying, how can we repatriate a man who hasn't been convicted?
Absolutely. And this is where India needs to come together and ensure this war on radical Islamist terror, everyone has to be on a war footing to ensure, one, if there is evidence, convict them. If there isn't, release them. We'll track the story very, very closely. Dr. Vikram Singh and Abhijit Iyer Mitra for joining me here on India Today on this part of the debate. Many thanks. A quick break, but don't go anywhere. It's a very alarming story that we get you on the other side of a short break. How vulnerable are India's borders with Bangladesh? So we've heard some of it has been fenced, but is that really the case on ground? What are the implications for our national security with radical Islamists now in power in Bangladesh? India Today's Shreya Chatterjee gets us a special investigation on the other side of a short break. Operation Illegals coming up. Stay with us.